Hello Animorphs fans and welcome back to the Animorphs Reviews YouTube channel. Today we're doing another AniLysis and it's on the City Arena. This is a picture, I just typed in City Arena on Google and I thought this looked pretty sensible. I mean, it just says City Arena on it and it's a big arena-like structure, so I mean, what more could you ask for? We don't get many details on this building, funnily enough. But what details do we get? Well, largely the details come from Book 7, The Stranger, and this is how it's introduced. It was a Sunday night. It was late. The circus had finished its last show. Their trailers and tents were clustered around the backside of the big city arena. The arena is a place where they hold rock concerts and ice shows and play basketball games, and where they have circuses. There wasn't much activity in the little tent and trailer city outside the arena. I could hear dogs barking. I could hear raucous laughter coming from a brightly painted trailer. I could smell the usual circus smells: manure, hay, beer, cotton candy. There were security guards around the perimeter of the area, but I wasn't worried about them. This is basically all we get in terms of description of the place. What goes on inside and outside. We don't get an actual visual, oh look, it's silver with a weird modernist pattern with red writing on the front. And we don't get any of that. We just get told this is a city arena, it has concerts, an ice rink and basketball court, which does heavily imply that it's an indoor arena. This isn't an outdoor one, which the series does mention a couple of times, things like football stadiums and all that. By the way, they use stadium and arena interchangeably throughout this series, so it's actually a bit of a difficult one researching this, because is the stadium the arena, or no, because it's a football stadium, so then it can't be because this is an indoor one. So there's a lot of question about that. But yeah, the actual city arena, this building, not particular, whatever, this indoor building where they have the basketball games and the rock concerts, the indoor rock concerts and the ice skating, it only occurs a couple of times throughout the series, and predominantly in this book. And predominantly that bit. So you've also got the circus in town, and they have all their trailers and tents outside in what I can only imagine is like a big car park or quad area. I like to think of Home Park in Plymouth, which is where they have the big football stadium, or soccer as you Americans call it. As you got the stadium, and then just aside from that you've got a big playground area, and then a massive, not a car park, just a massive concreted or tarmacked area where the circus comes. The circus is actually in town in Plymouth now, as a matter of fact, and you see all the fairground rides and all that. But they just sort of camp out there, and then you got the Plymouth Argyle football stadium just a little bit further on. I almost picture it sort of like that. So it's just a big entertainment centre, basically, for the people of this city, however big this city is. I can imagine it's pretty big actually, because if this city's got this city arena and then another separate football stadium, multiple football stadiums, and shopping districts and all that, it's probably actually quite a big city. What else can we figure out about the city arena in Animorphs? The only other thing we can really gather from it is location, and we do get a little bit of a hint as to the location of it later on in Book 7, when we're actually in this materialized future that the Elmist shows the Animorphs. Remember what goes on in that book, he shows them a potential future. And in this potential future, they're walking downtown. So let's get the quote in. It was beyond strange, walking the streets of downtown. We turned a corner and froze. That's where the city arena should be, I said. It's where we saw the circus. The arena? That big department store? That building that used to have the tall antennae on top? They're all gone, Marco said. Just gone. In their place was a yerk pool, a pool of shocking size. It was a small lake, really. You could have ridden around on it in a motorboat and not looked out of place. So in this image of the future, we get an idea of where the city arena is and roughly how big it is. Because they talk about it's a small lake, this whole area where the city arena and a couple other buildings used to be. So it's probably not that big. In fact, that is probably a reasonable representation. So you can see, look, there's a road that just comes around it here. It's not actually that big in this picture, this city arena. So it's probably looking around that sort of size. But you've also got a couple of other massive skyscraper buildings in that area. And we know that it's pretty much downtown, because even though there was a gap between that first sentence and when they turn the corner, it's basically in the same string of paragraphs. So they're walking through downtown, la-di-da-di-da, oh shit, doesn't this place look grim? Looks a bit like California. Funnily enough, they probably are in California. Freaking desolate and homeless people everywhere. But they turn a corner once they've gotten past downtown. Imagine it's this corner or whatever, and then, oh look, the city arena's gone. So, city arena, probably in downtown. What does that mean going forward? Well, it means that there's a good chance that the city arena was destroyed at the end. We've got no solid evidence that it was. Let's just look at the quote from Book 52, The Sacrifice. The destruction was breathtaking. Below us, there was a sinkhole where much of downtown had been. Everything had just caved in. Half the mall, several office buildings, train stations, stores, all were gone. Most of downtown had simply collapsed, swallowed up by an explosion the size of a small nuclear blast. No solid evidence at what happens to the city arena, because we know that it's somewhere in the vicinity of downtown, probably on the outskirts, according to the previous passage of paragraphs from Book 7. Because they sort of walked through downtown, then they turned a corner and then saw where the city arena should be. So it's probably not in downtown, but on the outside of downtown. And it says most of downtown was destroyed. We do know that half the mall was destroyed. The city arena is never mentioned in close proximity to the mall. So whether it's on the opposite side of downtown to the mall, which could be a possibility. Think of that what you will. It's entirely up to speculation at this point what happens to the city arena, because we never hear from it again. And there's only one or two more times in the entire series where it's even possibly mentioned. And I say that, you know, possibly. So it could have made a brief cameo in Book 45. Let's just take a look at the quote. Seconds from plunging us into the watery depths, the bug fighter got a different idea. It slowed, stopped, pivoted, and shot upward. I glanced out one of the windows. Ocean and forest and city lights were dropping away, like a high-speed pan-out from a satellite camera. For just an instant, I can make out the dots of lights that were the city, the stadium, the business district, the burbs and the boonies. So a stadium is mentioned there. Is it that one, or is it the outdoor stadium that's sort of implied by the series? Again, it's possible. It's possible that it was referring, because even though it's the city arena, they use stadium and arena interchangeably throughout the series. If you go through the books, type in stadium and arena, it is interchanged a lot within paragraphs of each other sometimes. So yeah, we don't know. And possibly one more time it was brought up, but it actually comes in the book before Book 7, where the city arena is brought up. So it's in a created, like, dream reality thing by Kryak to Jake. And then, to my horror, I was no longer in the cabin. It was a bright, huge gymnasium, but not exactly a gym, a sports arena. Yes, with thousands and thousands of fans. Swish! The stadium went crazy, cheering, horns sounding, people chanting my name. Once again, it's possible that this particular arena is implied in this, because who knows, maybe Jake's been to... I mean, he's a basketball fan. He must have been to that city arena before. But in this dream reality, he's put into an arena, a basketball court, and there's thousands of fans around him. He doesn't mention it's the city arena, it's just an arena. So I think it's actually doubtful that it's this specific one. It's more just a dreamt up arbitrary arena somewhere, somehow. But that's all there is from the city arena, unless I've missed something. If I have, please do let me know, and I'll put an addendum to this video. I don't think you will find anything more on this one. It basically is a building mentioned once or twice that they never actually go in, because in Book 7, when it's actually brought up, they just hang around the circus bit that hangs around outside the city arena, which is actually going to get its own separate analysis whenever that comes about. So Again, yeah, the City Arena never really truly does anything. But now you know. Now you've had a big video talk about the City Arena, and you can write your fan fiction and you can throw it in there with pure confidence that you know that you're not fucking it up in any particular way by making it non-canon. You've got all the information you need. That's all you need. There isn't much of it. Have fun with it. Write a fan fiction about the Animorphs going to watch a basketball game at the City Arena. They have to fight their way through clowns to get in. Frickin', there's a secret yurt pool being built under it. Oh, it's great. Yeah, you're going to love it. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. The next AniLysis is going to be on Planet Ket. That should be a bit more interesting than this one. They've been small ones recently, but we'll start to get a couple of the bigger ones coming soon. So thank you very much for watching. I shall see you next time. Ta-ra.